Our success in the war on terror and in replacing tyrannical regimes in the Middle East is dependent largely upon understanding exactly what we face in our terrorist enemy, and upon knowing precisely what is at stake for America. Many falsely believe this war was optional from the beginning, and that it was ill-advised. In reality, America has been at war for more than 20 years, yet many Americans still don't realize it. Like spectators on the sidelines, we watch passively while our enemy binds and shackles us for the slaughter. Many advocate that the war in Iraq and the war on terror are mutually exclusive. This is a deadly misconception, for they are without a doubt bound together with steel cords. Failure in one will bring failure and defeat in the other. A loss in either war will bring decades of bloodshed and hatred against the American people. Terrorists are like sharks. The enemy's blood stimulates and emboldens them. The highest numbers of terrorist recruits always follows on the heels of perceived Al-Qaeda victories or successful terrorist attacks. The bandwagon effect is certainly a factor. These are not idle comments, but statements of documented fact. This is a special training course with a single, determined objective: to flood the darkness with light, to expose that which is too often purposely hidden, and to refocus on that which has been misinterpreted. While there are many people who have studied about the Middle East, its languages, culture, religion, politics, and other key aspects, few people have lived and breathed it. In order to uncover true understanding about the Middle East, a person must have immersed him or herself in every aspect. The same for understanding the terrorist enemy and the role terrorism plays in today's world. Such insight comes from the person who has peered deep into the eyes of the terrorist and has immersed himself in the terrorist environment and culture for a decade and more. Richard Parker Robison is such a person, a man who, as part of his service with the CIA, embedded himself in Middle Eastern nations and cultures while these deadly terrorist organizations were spawning and growing to maturity. He was instrumental in penetrating the Abu Abbas terrorist organization, which was protected by Saddam deep in Iraq. Mr. Robison understands the critical importance of America's equities in the Middle East, strategically, historically, religiously, and militarily. This course is groundbreaking in scope. It is guaranteed to change your views of the true nature of the war on terror and why we must win this war.
For today we face a threat unlike any that we have faced in the history of this country. Throughout history, there have been great events, critical changes, and they've always had a catalyst. And one of the most important aspects is to be able to shatter the preconceptions that people have as they look at what's happening in the region. We see them on the media, we see them in the news. One of the challenges that I find that I struggle with is this very thing. Here's some research that I've done recently showing in the media, 33 pages here of recent articles on what's happening in the Middle East relative to the U.S. policy, U.S. activities. 660 articles, in fact. About 95% of them are negative towards the United States.
There is no mystery regarding how these terrorist organizations feel about America. We have their words, their speeches, their war plans, and we know their intentions for us. In plain English, they want Americans, or anyone else who stands in their way, to submit to their brand of fascist tyranny or die. This course seeks to help us overcome our fears through greater knowledge and face this danger head-on. We have intercepted the documents and secret messages written by these terrorist groups from around the world. They regularly produce videos, put postings on the internet, send letters and emails, and use other modern-day media to tout and disseminate their message and to recruit jihadi soldiers. In several ways, we have failed to comprehend the scope and breadth of the threat. Perhaps because Americans are too busy with their own lives. Perhaps it's because we find it hard to understand the radicals' motivations. Or maybe it is we fear learning too much, things which might cause us to reevaluate our thinking and change our approach. If Americans ignore this message, we will condemn ourselves by our own apathy. By our lack of understanding, we will become victims.
As I face and talk with audiences today, and particularly universities, I'm concerned because I think that many of the young people we talk with today have not really understood the nature of the threat. I think that John Stuart Mill understood, and he saw what was important, truly important, in facing these challenges where there is no negotiation, there is no way to back down. War is an ugly thing, he said, but not the ugliest of things. The decayed and degraded state of moral and patriotic feeling, which thinks nothing is worth war, is much worse. A person who has nothing for which he is willing to fight, nothing which is more important than his own personal safety, is a miserable creature and has no chance of being free unless made so by the exertions of better men than himself. Again, this statement was made 100 years or more ago. I think it's more appropriate today.
Terrorism's threat to the safety and security of each of us and to our families is very much like a poisonous gas, such as carbon monoxide, that may slowly accumulate around our home furnace. Terrorism lies quietly, latently, unnoticed by many until it is too late. The poison of carbon monoxide is much the same. It spreads quietly in our home, odorless, certainly unseen, and thereby undetected, at least through the normal human senses of sight and smell. Certainly there are tools, special sensors, which will warn us of the danger, but too often such tools are not available or never deployed. For many people, it is because, to begin with, they don't fully understand the danger. Tragically, they never awaken. The warning never sounded. Like carbon monoxide, terrorism lies silently, patiently, until we have gone to sleep, until our security and intelligence forces let down their guard, or worse, begin to discount the danger. To win this war, we need the right tools. We must detect the enemy with superior education and training, but more so, the kind of intelligence that will put us a step ahead of the terrorists and fanatics. To protect ourselves and our country, we must know him or her intimately and from a variety of perspectives. This special training course, offered exclusively by Fortress International Incorporated, provides these tools from the finest resources and experience available. As you will see in the next few minutes, this is the program that will give you the edge in the war on terror.
They understand that this is going to be a war of generations, and unless the United States can come to an understanding of what we're dealing with and then really go after these guys. And this is really what we're talking about, is a war of education as much as anything.
This next segment is an interactive learning sample that will allow you to explore Fortress International's unique approach to helping you and your organization understand the threat that faces America today. Remember that this initiative is about education and understanding the enemy. The training material in this course has been organized into 6 basic elements that answer the questions who, how, why, where, when, and what. Each question is supported by engaging and compelling material that categorically analyzes and drills down into the very essentials of terrorism's threat. For example, who is the enemy and who is not the enemy? How are they organized? Why are they united in their hatred? Where are they located? And where do they get their funding? When did the current threat begin to take shape? What should be done to ensure victory? These are just a few of the key learnings that will take place during this training course. Take a moment to explore the when category pictured here. Only one learning sample is available in this demo CD.